Hello and welcome back to Dial H for Heroclix. I'm your sexy ranch hand co-host Kalder Ness. This episode we're going to talk about a new Thread Dead Redemption, our top 10 Heroclix figures of 2020. We're going to talk about the rules clarifications for the Prince format tournament, and we're going to talk about symmetrical maps. Should they exist? Should they not exist? Let's get into it. This is episode 340. Howdy, howdy, let's get rowdy.
My stuff.
Dial H for Heroclix is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, including all the latest Heroclix singles and sealed products. Make sure you check them out at CoolStuffInc.com. Joining me, like always, in the studio is my nemesis co-host, Simeon Bruce. What's going on, Simeon?
Not like always. We are
That's true.
Actually recording, I think only like the second time ever.
Technically, yeah.
In person. Yeah.
For the podcast, that
for
is.
The podcast.
Yeah, for the podcast.
That's true, yeah. We've done videos. If you haven't noticed, we have a YouTube channel where we do videos. You can check it out. It's Dial H for Heroclix.youtube.co.ru.
Oh, I don't think you can actually type it into like a web, like the internet part.
Okay.
I guess it's all the internet part.
It's not how it works.
What would you call it? I don't know. But if you just search us on YouTube, we'll pop up.
Okay.
Because, like, actually, if you do, it'd be youtube.com/7946P4, MK, or like something like that is like our
That's
YouTube
way less
code.
easy.
Yeah.
I preferred mine.
Yeah, shouldn't we all? Anyways, as always, we like to start off the show with what made us happy this week. Simeon, made you happy this week, my man.
Made me happy this week is I got an early Christmas present. It's a super sweet samurai Wolverine.
Heck yeah.
He's got these crazy looking claws. He looks like samurai Wolverine, I guess. But yeah, can't wait to put him on display. He's pretty sweet.
It's pretty dope. And the samurai Captain America is really cool. Like, they don't make really sense because Captain America's got nothing to do with Japan. Like, Wolverine at least has something to do with Japanese culture.
Samurai Captain America.
But
he's like, I'm still a captain of America, but I do respect my feudal lord as well.
They're such great figures. They're so dope. What made me happy this week? That's a good question. I don't want to say yesterday because that's our Christmas special. So it sort of was our Christmas special.
Opposite of happy.
Though that was miserable. That was miserable. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
That was absolutely awful. But I'm also just trying to think. Oh yeah, I know what made me happy this week. I finally platinumed Doom Eternal. That's what I did. Yeah, so I was able to I was finally able to beat 200 or kill 200 opponents in battle mode. For some reason, battle mode is just so miserable in that game. It can be pretty awful, but once you get into the grind of doing battle once you get into the grind of doing battle mode, it comes way easier for figuring out counters and what demons are really good. So I had 30 more players to kill, and I was like, let's just do it. And it's people are like, oh, that's not hard for a multiplayer game, but it's only 2 demons against 1 Doomslayer or 1 Doomslayer against 2 demons. So if you just get rolled as the Doomslayer, you don't get any kills, right? Or if you're a demon, you have to try to kill the Doom guy before another demon kills him, or your friendly player demon or demons that you guys summon. So it actually is a lot harder to get that trophy, and it is the hardest trophy in the game, is to kill 200 players in battle mode for how few people play battle mode.
Back when I used to hunt trophies all the time, I really hated the multiplayer trophies. So you'd be playing
those are tough.
I don't know, just for example, Battlefield or Modern Warfare or something like that. You'd be doing all the campaign trophies, and those are super easy. There's a few X amount of kills with a knife or whatever.
Yeah.
And the rest of the ones would be get really good at online play. And I was always like, all right, I'll try. And 5 days later, I'm like, nope, just not gonna complete this game.
And it's impossible if the game is old and it has online trophies and the online's dead and you just can't. You just have to admit to yourself you're not going to platinum the game.
It's never finished.
It's not going to happen. Yeah.
It's incomplete.
Yeah, dude. That's what happened with PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, classic fighting game. greatest fighting games of all time for the PlayStation 3.
Is that the one that had Sackboy?
Yeah, it had Sackboy and Kratos and stuff in it. But like, I wanted to platinum that game because like I hated Smash Bros. I hated Nintendo fans. They were annoying. I hated them. I hate that they wanted to play Smash Bros. So I was like, finally, we have PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale, a totally original idea to have characters from one like specific gaming company all fight. And I really liked that game, but I could never get the platinums because like the online died within like a week or like 2 weeks of that game coming out. But I really did love that game. I played the heck out of it. It was awesome.
Speaking of Smash Bros, I watched a video a couple days ago of just an endless amount of people in like Smash tournaments when they get beat, like just smoking
Raging.
their controller on
Baby.
their like, ground. There's like one dude that grabbed it like by the cord and like full on like ripped it down and it just like explodes. There's one guy that wasn't even done with the match. It was like best 2 out of 3 or something. And he lost like the first one and throws his controller down and breaks like one of the nubs. His like GameCube controller, so he broke one of like the joysticks or whatever. And then he's just like unable to compete like the next
great job,
rounds.
genius.
So,
Hey, can I borrow a controller from you guys?
disqualified.
Well, no, not if you're gonna do that, idiot. Nice try, buddy. That's so sad. All right. Oh, I almost forgot, guys, listener, we're at Simeon's house, and he did brag about getting, not really brag, but like one time he mentioned getting a new desk and how he got a new desk. I just want to say, boots on the ground. There is no desk. His computer and monitor is all on cardboard boxes still. So we're sitting here on chairs looking at his computer monitor on cardboard boxes.
To be at eye level.
It's so bad.
Computer should never be above like a foot off the ground.
All right, but we've been talking about not Heroclix for long enough, so let's go ahead and get into the news. The news this week being our Prince format tournament, the rules clarification. So, for really quick, it's a $10 entry fee tournament. I'll let Simeon go into it because it is the billionaire Bruce's superior brainchild format to the Pauper design.
We're fighting back against this Pauper nonsense. So, a quick rundown. As Kalder said, $10 entry. You can send that to my PayPal. We've got it on Facebook, or you can just message the page, message me or Kalder. We'll hook you up with my PayPal link. It's $10 entry, friends and family, and then make sure you message us if you send the money so that we can put you on our like Excel spreadsheet and cross you off the list for people that are entered. Builds are going to be due by January 1st, and then pod play will start January 1st, and it'll go until January 8th. So we're doing pod play so that'll be depending on how many people sign up. It'll be groups of 4, hopefully. And then the top 2 out of those groups will move on into the single elimination bracket. So you're, depending on how well you did in the pod play, that'll be where you're positioned in the single elimination bracket. And then the main thing for Prince format is the build restrictions. That is going to be super rare primes, chases, ultra chases, and convention exclusives only. And we have a Google Doc for all of the convention exclusives because we decided not to allow ones that you can get at like WKOs. Like you had to go to a convention to obtain these pieces. We want it to be as exclusive, truly exclusive as possible. So it is 300 modern. We're calling it 300 modern forward because we're including things that have been previewed in any kind of capacity. They've been previewed. They have to meet the restrictions, and then, I mean, even if they're not technically legal, so X-Men will be allowed. I'm not sure if X-Men will be legal.
Well, if it comes out December 30th and we're going to start the 1st, it won't be legal, right? You have to wait a week until whatever. So, same thing with like Lady Phoenix.
But even if, Lady
who like
Phoenix,
people own but isn't legal yet for WizKids reasons or whatever. Yeah, we'll allow that stuff too.
And even if like I'm gonna say even if they start previewing like Fantastic Four.
Oh,
like
maybe
December like 25th or something.
If they show us a Chase from Fantastic Four, I'll allow it.
It's not super likely. And then to go along with that, proof of ownership isn't required.
Had to really bend Simeon's arm. He wanted it to be truly the richest of the rich, the highest of the high class.
We also dropped the entry to $10 from what I originally wanted it to be, which was $250. I really wanted to make it an elitist little tournament, but we decided to allow other people in, I guess. I wouldn't have even been able to play if it was $250. That's fine. Map bonuses aren't going to be allowed. Anything to go along with map bonuses, anything that would be allowed in Pauper. So this is like WWE rings, anything, just anything that's allowed in Pauper, we won't be allowing in this. Of course, the maps from other sets and whatever are legal. You can use whatever maps. It's encouraged to use the most expensive map you can find, of course, but not necessary. That's one thing that, we can't really limit the maps to like super rare prime maps. So,
and there's no blatantly cheating in the rules of Heroclix, so there's still only one prime per force. There's still, you can only have 3 maps to bring with you, etc.
We're not breaking the rules of Heroclix with this format. We're still following the normal rules as far as that goes. And then prizing. So we're going to need minimum 16 players to kick it off, but first place is going to get a brick of the new House of X set. Second place is going to get 5 boosters of the House of X set. Third is going to get 3 boosters, and fourth is going to get 2 boosters. And then if we reach a 32 or like higher participants, then all of top 16 will be prized out. And there's also going to be a special secret fellowship prize that'll be awarded. I have a little qualifying thing that I'll be using to determine who gets it, and I'll tell you after I decide who gets it what the criteria was. But they'll also be getting a prize, and it might be a 1776 if mine don't sell by then. I don't know. I feel like that's a better price than first at that point, but it might be, I don't know, it might be like a figure off your build or something. Who knows? I haven't decided yet, but it'll be something worth it. Although you won't know how to win it until
you won't know how to win it. Yeah, exactly. So you can find all this information besides what we just told you. If you want to see it written down, it's on our Facebook page. It is on our YouTube channel. There's a video of Simeon also explaining the information. Sorry, the billionaire Bruce Simeon explaining the information. And then in the description of that video is all the same information we just told you guys. So yeah, obviously this is a online tournament. So it's gonna be, we're gonna use Roll20 or Discord to communicate. If you do want, however, and you want to use Tabletop Simulator, by all means, go for it. Just, you have to have someone to spectate your game and keep time for you.
And your opponent would also have to have...
obviously have to have Tabletop Simulator, but like, me and Simeon should be able to spectate quite a few games.
Yeah.
If available. I imagine we'll be free enough to do that. You said all builds are due by the 1st, right?
All builds are going to be due by the 1st, yeah. I don't think that's too much to ask. You've got
plenty of time.
25 plus days.
Yeah.
As of recording this. So, yeah, if it comes down to the wire and we have like a late entry, I might extend it a little bit, but I don't want like to push off pod play because
December 5th. Someone wants to enter. Maybe not, but
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm excited. I hope you guys. Another thing is, it's not Highlander. Some people were like curious about that or whatever. I don't think there's anything too terrible in like purely if it's just chases and whatever. I think it should be fine. So I'm curious to see like what you guys make, and I want to see like teams of like a ton of chases because there's like those 10-point chases, and I want to just see an all Brainiac or like a ton of Lex Luthor team. Like it'd be hilarious. So I would love to see teams like that. Like how much money can we put on the board? It's awesome.
Yeah.
Another point thing to note, I think there's maybe only one character that does this that'll bring things from, I don't know if it's outside the game or whatever, but Black Widow generates common figures.
Right.
You're not going to play commons. I would basically say, like any true man of class and quality, you wouldn't allow a white tab or green tab figure within 10 feet of you. So, like, how dare you reach for a common figure for your Black Widow to generate? How could you?
If you're thinking about doing Jason Wingard, you're going to have to, all of his, like, pog, like, generators are going to have to follow.
It's rough. All the same thing, yeah. So, that leads, like...
Not a lot.
Not a lot. There's only a few chases that make pogs, so it's not a ton. The options are definitely slimmer for Jason. So I think this actually balances a lot of like chases a lot, honestly. So I think it's good. So I think we'll get to see some really cool, unique teams, and we can't wait to see those. Like I said, once you PayPal message Kalder Ness, Simeon Bruce on Facebook, or the Dial H or Heroclix page anywhere, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, doesn't matter, that you entered, we'll get you guys put down, get you a link to the Discord, all that jazz. But yeah, I think that's about it.
That's it.
Prince tournament.
Yeah, and that's all we really have for the news because not a whole lot is going on this week.
It's boring.
Yeah,
it's boring week.
Which we got all these. We've got one super rare left for the upcoming House of X set, and we've got all of the team-up cards pretty much still left to be spoiled, so I don't know why we're in a dead news cycle and why WizKids is resharing things that have already been previewed.
Yeah, like, they could show us all the team-up cards, would be great. But instead it's like, yeah, check out Emperor Vulcan. It's like, it's crazy, but, like, you did give it to somebody else to preview already, so, like, very cool. Thank you for sharing. All right, yeah. So, we want to get into a Thread Dead redemption, shall we?
Let's do it.
Friend, I just wanted to play.
Now, firstly, we ain't friends. Don't make no mistake on that subject. Now, secondly, he can't hardly see, let alone reason. Now, reasoning ain't never been one of my strong points neither, but seeing I do just fine.
Thread Dead Redemption is a segment of the show where we find a thread, normally on HC Realms, but it could be anywhere on the internet that's related to Heroclix, and we go ahead and see what are these people talking about. We go ahead and see if we try to redeem this thread, what qualities it may have. We like to do mostly threads that like make Heroclix figures, because it's really fun to see how other people design Heroclix figures. I really enjoy that. But from time to time, we'll do threads that are just more simple. So, Jibo, Bronze Donor on HC Realms has a picture of a crying Captain Carrot or something. It says, top 10 favorite Heroclix of 2020. Hello and welcome all to this year's poll of the community's favorite Clix of 2020. Vote for your top 10 favorite figures of the year, focusing on, but not limited to, individual figures. Voting is technically open to whatever your 10 favorite things were about HeroClix this year. I'll take a detailed tally and report back to the top 10 vote getters. Okay, that's a weird way to say that. Just after the end of the year. So, he has a ton of text for whatever reason. But he goes on to say, like, basically, it doesn't matter how long you've been playing the game. Please vote. Last year's winner for 2019, like, number one HeroClix figure was Juggernaut. So you're going to give him a top 10 list, and then he kind of weans out, like, everybody that got the most votes.
It doesn't need to be...
It doesn't really matter if it's in order, I guess, really.
Yeah, he's just tabulating the most votes, like, overall out of the top 10s. So, I don't know. It's kind of cool. He got 156 users posting top 10 lists last year.
Meant a lot to him, apparently.
Apparently, it was pretty important to him. But hopefully this year we get like 200 users. So
that'd be great.
If you when we're done reading off more about this list, if you want to go and find this thread, and it's just titled Top 10 Favorite HeroClix of 2020. If you want to go and find this thread and add your top 10, see if one of your figures gets the overall vote for the year, go ahead and feel free to do that.
So he goes on to, like, tell you what all, like, sets came out this year. Captain America and the Avengers plus the Fast Forces, Black Widow movie, Justice League Unlimited plus the starter, Fantastic Four plus the Cosmic Clash starter plus the Fast Forces, Battlegrounds, Avengers vs. Masters of Evil, Spider-Man and Venom Absolute Carnage plus the Fast Forces, House of X and the Fast Forces, the WizKids Deep Cuts X-Men Prime, Wave 2, that's Kitty Pryde through Danger, 020 Danger. Then he says all the promotional releases. I kind of forgot about some of these, honestly. Despero's Revenge, Green Arrow, and the Justice Society. I forgot that one was this year. Yeah. Atlantean Civil War.
January and February.
Everyone Loves Ivy. Free Comic Day Black Widow. Deadpool the Duck. Quicksilver. Scarlet Witch. Pixie. Galactus the Devourer, and Lady Phoenix. Oh, he does forget to mention Black Bike Widow. The Black Bike Widow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you got Free Comic Book
Black Widow, she wasn't part of the main set, technically.
100.
But yeah, but I guess if you go to she is in the main set, but yeah, she's a separate release, technically. Just saying, bro. So, what was this guy's top 20? Let's just do his top 10, not read anybody else's top 10, and we'll get into our top 10.
Yeah. So, at number 1, which, again, these aren't in any particular order as far as I did it. I don't know if he did or not. But on his number 1 is Beast, and this is the
Fast Forces Beast.
Yeah, from the unreleased House of X set, number 002, the Unique Beast. This is the one that, in the Fast Forces, he comes with a couple different team-up cards, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
He says, I'm going to have a hard time not fielding this beast on every single X-Men team moving forward. On paper, he doesn't do much, but his 5 steps ahead trait has me absolutely salivating. Gross. Seeing as how the game is so filled with free actions nowadays, this is essentially leadership without the risk of a die roll, plus a full dial of outwit, not to mention that Hank and I share a last name. Okay, that's cool.
Pim. They're both Pims.
It's McCoy. I couldn't remember it. I thought Pim for some reason, and I was like, that's Giant Man. So this beast, just to remind you, has this 5 steps ahead trait. He does no special powers, but 5 steps ahead trait is when an opposing character takes a free action, so that's sidestep, perplex, outwit, like, not prob, but anything that's an actual free action kind of thing. You give Beast a planning token, and then for free you can remove 2 planning tokens and remove an action token from a friendly character with the X-Men keyword. With all the sidestep in the game, I imagine you'd be racking these up pretty fast.
Super easy, yeah.
I don't know if removing action tokens is worth the 50 points, but it's not
in a high point game. Oh, I'll absolutely put this
yeah.
beast on it. Like 400 plus. Yeah, let's do it.
I still prefer like Prez or card for action removal.
It's true. Next up's Black Widow. This is 0. Oh, number 100. So this is a free comp, Black Widow, right? Number 100, isn't it?
Is it?
Or it's just the Bike Widow. It's the Bike Widow.
Bike
Yeah.
Widow.
Weird how he forgets to put her in the thing, and yet she's on his top 10 list. Anyways, she is just really good. The point denial, and trust me, playing against Black Widows, I've realized there's like quite a bit of point denial between the 100 point whatever crazy good Widow, Chase Widow, just hard to KO, and then this Bike Widow not scoring her and then like having to kill another person is just awful. Simi knows what it's like watching me score so few points and win a Heroclix game. But yeah, and then
close in that game.
Yeah, it was. And then he goes on to do the time bombs on the strip Joker. I think that's a pretty legit pick.
Yeah.
I would say, like, that's good.
So he's kind of iconic. This is another one of those characters where you pay an extra 20 points on top of his 50 point line, but then during force construction you may add up to 2 of the other Jokers, and he's got the whole shape change, and if he uses it and succeeds, after resolutions you can generate another one of these Jokers on click 1.
It's very annoying to play against.
Dial.
It's very annoying to play against.
And then of course he's got the
because you don't get anything for KOing those other Jokers. That's nothing.
No.
It sucks.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's really tough. Like, at least Cable's dudes are like, they're worth 25 points, right? Or whatever.
I don't know
or
if
is
they're
Cable
worth points.
also just an optional thing?
Yeah, I think it's like 75 plus 25 for 2.
Okay, I think that is, it is what it is.
Number 4 on his list is Kate Pryde from the new X-Men set. So this is the super rare. She's the pirate one. She's got the Krakoan revival. She's got a Lockheed generation thing. She's got friendly characters with the Hellfire keyword, Marauders, or Pirate keyword can use Steel Energy, which is kind of fun. When Kate Pryde moves through an equipped opposing character after resolutions, roll a d6. On a 5 through 6, that character unequips their equipment. Should be neat if actually like unequipping things on characters ever worked. I feel like every time they make a thing that does that, it just doesn't quite work as well.
I feel like they think that's like a really good power to have, but it's just for some reason isn't.
Yeah.
It just never works out practically for some reason.
That Prime Baron Mordo had like another thing like that, and his never became like something important.
I genuinely think like WizKids like, this is so strong. Like, equipment is so important, which it is, but like all the unequipped powers, they don't do anything. I would prefer it KO that equipment. If it KO'd the equipment, it's way better.
KO.
Yeah, unequipping is not enough.
So I'm assuming he's picking this Kitty because it's like a different iteration than we've seen, and it's a cool sculpt. Because other than that, like, it's a pretty standard Kitty Pryde with like the whole like phasing. This one can Passenger 3, which is always cool, but yeah, I don't know.
Can you scroll down on her dial really quick? On Kitty's dial. Okay, I thought she was saying that she did illegal drug shipments there for a second. It's confiscate and disrupt.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, Kitty Pryde's getting it.
She's a pirate.
Making that money.
Yeah, she's selling drugs now.
Well, you know how little it pays to be a school teacher. I don't blame her.
Yeah, especially
Zoom classes. She's doing mutant
kids.
Zoom classes.
It's not like those. I mean, there's Warren Worthington and his millions, but
right.
None of those other kids have any money.
So the Maker is his number 5. Maker was just cool. I think that's a legitimate pick. Any figure that was like never made before, I think is like, that's a good pick. I mean, even if it is technically just Mr. Fantastic or Ultimate Mr. Fantastic, like the Maker is a specific, totally different version of this character. So
yeah. My one gripe about him is
it's not a good figure.
Well, for 100 points, he's kind of lackluster, but also like one set later, we got a character with the Ultimates team ability, And I get, like,
And
he's
yeah.
not an Ultimate. He's from the Ultimates universe, but, like, this particular version of the Maker is, like, the bad guy, not the... I don't think he was ever actually on the Ultimates or, like, Ultimate Avengers, whatever.
They were just called the Ultimates, but yeah.
Number 6 is the Ellie Mole Man from the Fantastic Four set. So this is the one that does the other friendly characters with the monster keyword have improved movement, hindering, and free move one square. He really doesn't do a whole lot other than that, in my opinion. Yeah, he's just kind of there, but it is like a cool power for certain monster teams. I don't know how important it is for monster keyword overall.
In general, I think if Wendigos, for sure, you want to put them on there.
Right, for Wendigos.
Getting an extra move is huge.
Yeah, that's a pretty big thing. Potentially being able to make, like, what? You got your charge, flurry, your free attack.
Sidestep.
Charging, your sidestep, free attack. So, like, one extra attack, so, like, potentially 5 attacks per
15-point figure.
Wendigo.
Pretty nuts.
Yeah. Of course, if you're like Jonah, then you just crit miss on the first.
Yeah, well, that's because Jonah's bad at Heroclix, though.
So, it doesn't matter how many attacks.
It truly doesn't, dude.
Die
His dice are so terrible sometimes. Then he always gets kicked out of Roll20. Oh, guys, my Roll20 kicked me out. Anyways. Number 7 is Quake. I did like Quake. I feel like she should have seen more play with her whole charge, and you can choose a figure, or whatever, a square within range, not line of fire, just within range. She can use Quake if she occupied that square. Like, I think that's pretty dope. Like, that's awesome. And the only time, like, you would ever want to use the pinpoint thing, where whatever Giant Reach X, where X is her click number, is only good on her last click, when she's on click number 6.
Right.
Otherwise than that, it's just like, I might as well just always use Quake within my range and not need line of fire, like, because that's just dope. So yeah, this Quake is really fun, and it's the first time we've gotten a Quake since Nick Fury Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I'm okay with that. She's a popular character, more popular now, so yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize, I mean, she'd be okay in, like, a reverse style game. 6 square reach.
Yeah.
Giant reach. But she's only got
But then her
6
speed is less, like,
yeah,
right? Like, that's the whole
slow,
problem, is like her...
defense is real low.
It really, like, it kind of does nothing. It kind of mutes out the whole dial.
She was cool and sealed, though, because you could
She was
quake,
awesome. Yeah, I did
through
like her.
walls,
I liked her a
and
lot in
Your
Sealed.
opponent just couldn't prob you. His number 8 pick is Solomon Grundy, the rare from the Justice League Unlimited set. Yeah, it's Solomon Grundy. He says it's the least cost-inflated Grundy we've ever gotten, rocking a 75-point dial.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And his breadth of keywords mean that he'll be appearing on teams for years to come. So, yeah, he's got a decent set of keywords. I personally didn't care for this Grundy. I prefer, like, the older, what is it, like the, not Slosh, but is there one in, like, Teen Titans? Something like
I don't think there's one in Teen Titans, but there were 2 in Slosh in the starter or Fast Forces animated set.
I prefer those ones over this one still, but like, he's right. Those ones do cost you like almost double, I think.
And number 9 is going to be Spot. It's also, I would just say, a pretty legit pick. Like, Spot is cool with all the free moving he can do. I enjoy Spot a lot. Like, just as a figure, I've never read him as a character. I know a lot of people were excited to get another Spot, and it's been like 8-9 years since the last Spider-Man set came out, maybe longer. But Spot was like in, and he's an entire 1 point less than his prior version, and I would say much, much better. So yeah, I think any character that hasn't been around, I feel like a broken record, but like any character that hasn't been made in years is like a legitimate pick for like a top 20. Like if his top 20 would have been like, I really like this Iron Man, I've been like, sure, dude. But
There's
no, that's pretty good.
This list that I could not understand.
Yeah, there are some bad picks, and then in this thread, obviously there are a ton of bad picks, but that's okay.
Yeah,
that's what people wanted. So
somebody picked the Frightful 4 Medusa.
Oh,
jeez. I was like, I get it's the Frightful 4 version, but we've had
first appearance of Medusa.
A lot of Medusas in like the not like recent past, but we've had a lot of Medusas that just aren't, or just like way better.
In the recent past, we have had a lot of Medusas. We've had 2 in the same year. EarthX and ABPI had a Medusa.
Yeah. His last pick for the top 10 of this year is Spy Master, which is a strange pick. So this is a 025.
That's what I thought.
Captain America set. He's got the espionage trait, my espionage elite, which makes spy keyword a named keyword. I don't know how often you play spy that you need it to be named, but I guess that's pretty cool. For 65 points, so more points than Captain Venom, who makes monster a named keyword. Unique modifier when friendly characters with the spy keyword. Friendly characters with the spy keyword modify defense +1 if occupying hindering or obscuring terrain. So again, like kind of a neat little trait. And then late dial has anti-Iron Man weapons, which you choose a standard attack power, and Spymaster can use that power until your next turn, which is great, except for 65 points, his down dial is kind of lackluster. I don't know. This is like the one pick that he had that I had the biggest problem with.
Yeah, dude, Spymaster's pretty lame. I'm not even gonna lie. It's just lame, dude. It's so weird. But you know what's funny about like the Spymaster? Like same time around this like era in the world, this February, March like time, was when they were also releasing the Black Widow Hasbro Marvel Legends, and there was a Spymaster in that wave. And I'm like, that's so weird to me that like WizKids is making a Spymaster, Hasbro's making a Spymaster, and then just the other day they announced that they're going to make a House of X like wave of like Marvel Legends, and House of X is obviously like the Ness Heroclix set. So I don't know if Marvel is like telling people, yeah, we got to make a Spymaster, or like what it is.
We're pushing Spymaster.
Really pushing Spymaster. Make sure he's good. Make sure he makes named theme teams out of spy keyword. Zodiac keyword. That's not handed out a lot. That's actually kind of neat. That'll fill out. You still need like 3 more characters to make a 300-point Zodiac theme team between him, the dude who's just, I think, just named Zodiac. Yeah.
With the key.
Yeah.
What is it, Nick Fury's brother or whatever.
But let's go ahead and get into our top 10 lists. Simeon, do we just like want to go back and forth?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
So
go for it.
I went 10 to 1, and I kind of went in order. Doesn't really matter, but I kind of went in order. So my top 10 is mostly for figures that I either use the most or think I'll use the most, in cases of ones that haven't come out yet. So number 10 is Mary Jane Watson, the 15-point, common from the Spider-Man Venom Absolute Carnage set. For 15 points, she's autonomous. She makes autonomous bystanders. She can turn into 3 other characters. She just does a ton of really cool stuff. Sidestep, energy shield, shape change, top dial. She's a really good figure for 15 points.
Okay. For number 10, and like my list is in no particular order, like at all. It's going to be the 40 Cakes Lex Luthor. When I saw this figure previewed, the amount of joy I felt in like the fact that they made a Luthor that referenced the 40 Cakes like stuff, it's just hilarious to me. You know, and besides the fact that we're also just getting like the like alternate versions of Super Friends was great, like with the Trouble Alert call-in. So like this Luthor was just cool. I'm a huge Lex Luthor fan. The 40 Cakes was like a joke I always made with like a ton of people. It's like, why? And that's terrible, you know? It's like, I love it. Gave me an excuse to make the cool 40 cake tokens that I really enjoyed making. So yeah, so Lex Luthor's got to be my number 10 pick.
I forgot about that one. You should have been on my list too. Number 9 for me is the Prime Apocalypse from the next. So this is a Super Rare Prime from the upcoming House of X set. I haven't played him yet, but this is like the big bad version that we should have gotten in X-Men Dark Phoenix Saga. Like this is, to me, this like kind of resembles a version of like the TV series one. His dial's like really stacked. He does cost a lot of points for what he does, but they also gave him the behind the scenes trait, which I'm glad that they're like still using that moving forward. I'm glad that wasn't like a one and done with X-Men Dark Phoenix Saga. He's also got protected mind control, outwit, penetrating psychic blast, free choose a standard power or colossal symbol. So you can either get really big like he did in the cartoon, or like have like morph one of his arms into a cannon or whatever. And then he can use the chosen power or ability till your next turn. He's also got the ability to make his own horsemen. They all have to be.
That is really cool.
Or less. Yeah, I'm really excited. I don't know how I'll use it, but like for Pestilence, any character that just deals penetrating damage, if you make him like make that character his Pestilence and they have poison, then all of a sudden you have a penetrating poison person. Or, you know, anybody that you want to have like super strength, even if it's just to like carry an object back to you with a whip or something. There's like a lot of options.
Mary Jane super strength. She can like sidestep, bring back an object.
Yeah, heavy object at least.
Yeah, a famine is great too. Adjacent opposing characters can't be healed. Just like period is really cool. Give it to someone like who can't die easily. Like maybe like They have to be 50 points or less. Is that right?
50 points or less.
Yeah. So there's no giving that to like Immortal Hulk and letting him
but like Robot Magneto or Sinister.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be good.
For all these.
Yeah, I like that. My number 9 is going to be Super Scroll. I really liked the preview, and then we couldn't see his point values, so I was like, I didn't team build with him at all. And then like once I started thinking about team builds and stuff, and I was talking to like other people like about Super Scroll, I was like, I really want to play him like so bad. And so Super Scroll was my main like meta pick, and sadly, as far as Heroclix in real life goes, I played way more competitive tournaments in real life than I was able to play like cool, fun, casual nights. So I think Super Scroll played correctly is just insane. Like getting the right pick a power stuff, and it's not like go to town, free whatever pick a powers. Playing a bunch is fun, dude. Rollouts are hilarious. It really does frustrate your opponent, but like he himself isn't like the world's greatest attacker. You know, like he can be once they're like already next to him, and you know, close combat expert. Giant Reach is awesome with him. Like, so I love Super Scroll. The stayability is there. The upgrade to the Scroll's team ability came out in the same Fantastic Four set, and you know, I know I was really dogging on the Fantastic Four set, but now I finally own some F4 figures, and that is, of course, just Super Scroll and like a few Frightful Four, because he's also just, if you want to play a Frightful Four team and then want to just have a solid figure, even in casual, where it's not like specifically a whole bunch of Super Scrolls that are just miserable to try to like mow through, instead like putting 1 or 2 of him on a team, probably just 1 on a Frightful Four team, just gives it a little extra oomph. So I love that Super Scroll so much. Soldier keyword, baby. Anything with the soldier keyword I love. And just, this is probably the first time I play. Oh, actually, no, that's a lie. Obviously, Zombie Super Scroll I played a lot too. So I was about to say this is the first Super Scroll I ever played a bunch of. But nah, I love the Super Scroll. I like his sculpt as sort of a callback to the Supernova Super Scroll. Very similar. So, I like it a lot.
Yeah. Sculpt is, like, also, of course, like one of my big things. So far, like, these first couple like, aren't amazing. But
right.
My number 8 is Machine Smith, the super rare from the Captain America set. And he's got a unique ring, so you can only play 1. But for 90 points, he does the one thing that I really like about him. I really like bystanders and bystander generators. So once per turn, nope, that's the wrong one. That's assembled bolts and masters. He's got a trait that is back up my consciousness. He has shape change and then power generate a robot dupe bystander, max 1. When the Machinesmith would be KO'd, if his robot dupe is on the map, instead turn him to Clix 6 and then KO the robot dupe. The robot dupe is pretty basic. He's just got, I think it's just toughness.
Toughness and shape change with like a 9 for 1, but 16, 7 or something like that.
The robot dupe has a single trait that allows him to copy all, copy like all stats and standard powers from a opposing character of 100 points or less. So I never got to pull it off, but in a recent tournament, I was playing Jason, who makes the robot. He can also make the robot dupe. And I almost managed to copy a God Emperor Doom, which would have just been amazing, having like a 12 speed, 12 attack, running shot, pulse wave, 4 damage, prob. It's all like printed powers on God Emperor Doom, except for his traits. And so it would have been really fun. But even just like casually, I really like Machinesmith. I don't really care for the Masters of Evil or Skeleton Crew keywords. I don't use those.
Love those keywords. I love Skeleton Crew's getting love, baby, and I really like that.
I don't run those, but I'll definitely put them on like robot teams. And the thing that I really like about Machinesmith over like Jason is in like a casual game, Machinesmith.
He's not busted in a casual game.
Well, there's that, but also Machinesmith can make multiples. So if you made a robot dupe of somebody and that person like took damage and now they're not as great, you want to switch, you can just push your robot
KO that robot dupe,
and then make a new one. Because even though it's max 1, you can still like
make another one after it. Versus Jason, you can only make 2 that entire game.
Right.
Yeah. No, he actually almost made my list too. I love this Machinesmith. We never got one before, except as the Ameridroid, when he's like inside the Ameridroid. So to me, it was huge. By the way, Ameridroid is from a very popular Captain America story called the Captain America Corps. We didn't get any of those figures. Just saying. Anyways, that's WizKids' fault though. I love Machinesmith. He made me. He was the one super rare I pulled at the 5 sealed Captain America events I went to. He's the only super rare I ever pulled, and that same event is the only time I won with him. So that was big for me. So no, Machine Smith just barely didn't make it, just because I didn't play him a ton, but I love him for being thematic, filling out Captain America's Rogues Gallery. It's pretty huge. My number 8 is going to be Spider-Man 1776. Pretty cheesy pick, I know. Honestly, purely for the patrioticness of him, his George Washington-style garb, and then, of course, making Soldier a named theme team. To me, he doesn't make Soldier Spider-Man family. That's lame. Spider-Man family is lame, and people that are in it are lame. But making Soldier a named theme is huge to me. That was always my go-to theme team back in the day, when you would get like pseudo theme probs with it, and then they changed that generic theme teams don't grant theme probs, and only it's like for the map bonus, which sucked. So now I can go back to playing my all soldier teams, because that's the way I started playing Heroclix. That's the way I like playing Heroclix. The way I still like playing Heroclix is just put as many patriotic looking soldier guys on a team, and that's also why it's super huge to me that Spider-Man 1776 is in like revolutionary George Washington garb. So it keeps that patriotic aspect for all my soldier teams that I enjoy playing. So that was just like such a perfect figure. Honestly, he didn't have to do anything else. If he was just charge blades, no stock click, no stupid -1 action total, whatever, that would have been fine. Just making soldier a named theme team is enough for me. So this figure goes above and beyond my expectations, and I absolutely love it.
It is a really cool sculpt too.
Yeah.
As far as like, not like the biggest Miguel O'Hara fan, but I do.
Yeah, who's that? Spider George Washington is all I.
Spider George Washington.
Yeah.
Miguel Washington.
2099, 776.
Yeah, I didn't care for like the 2099 Spider-Man series that much, but I really do like the colors and like whatever the style of his suit over Peter's, and so like getting some of that in with like the Washington like garb.
Yeah, that was cool.
It's
printed on there. Yeah.
My number 7 pick is the Dr. Fate common from the Justice League Unlimited set. So not only can he just like pop out a bunch of duplicates, so it's 65 points for the main one, 10 points for each additional one, and then if you have 2 to 4 characters named Dr. Fate on your force, including the original, then you get an action total +1. If you have 5 or more, you get action total +2, which is just nuts. If you throw in like a leadership, and on a Justice League team you can also have KC Power Woman, so you could potentially have 5, 6, 7 action total in a 300-point game. I don't know what you're going to do with all those actions, but it's pretty sweet that you can do it. And I also just like that they made a like mainstay character kind of like a thematic generic in like the 10-point version.
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of like that scene in Avengers where Doctor Strange makes all those like copies of himself to like attack Thanos or whatever. Kind of reminds me of that. And since we don't have a Doctor Strange that really does that well, this Dr. Fate is kind of a cool version of that. Dr.
Fate always looked cool too, though. I always like, even though he's like a big bright yellow, bright blue or whatever, his helmet is so sick looking. Yeah, like it's just really cool. Yeah. What was that? Your 7? This is my 7. Okay, so my 7 is going to be Josiah X. I love a lot of the figures in the Captain America set, despite how much I rag on it for being a very imperfect set. Josiah X is awesome. Dude, like, being able to ignore penetrating damage for everybody on your force, or if you're adjacent to him, if you don't share a keyword. He has Scientist, Warrior, and Soldier. 2 really good keywords, and then Warrior. So, like, I love playing Soldier a lot. Obviously, Josiah X is patriotic. He's probably going to be the prime slot on any Soldier team that I don't put, like, Punisher War Machine or something on. Like, Josiah X, to me, is just such a freaking awesome figure. Like, I think right after the Captain America set came out, I made like a Warrior theme team. I played him with like the Thor from the set and the new Guy Gardner and stuff, just like have a fun theme team, and it did like pretty well. Like, so I enjoy Josiah X. I love ignoring penetrating damage, and that's why he had to make it on this list. And I played him a lot too, in conjunction with Super Skrull. I played him a ton.
Nice. Yeah. Number 6 on my list is the new Jubilee Super Rare. Really, it's not Jubilee though; it's Shogo. That's the interesting part of the dial. The Jubilee part of the dial is just the sidestep energy explosion, 5 range, 2 lightning bolts. That's interesting enough. But yeah, the ability to transform into Shogo and have protected outwit, protected pulse wave, running shot with a pretty decent speed, damage, and attack value. It's all like really cool. and it's definitely like a version of the character we haven't gotten, because I don't think we've gotten the baby Shogo on her yet.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
It would have made sense back in like Wolverine and the X-Men, but they didn't.
Right, when they made the first Vampire Jubilee.
But I also like how balanced this figure is for 50 points, because you can't, even though it's not unique, you can't activate more than one for a game, so you're not getting multiple 50-point characters with this like really cool dial. You're getting at most one. It's just got enough keywords to like fit on a few different teams. Probably monster, mystical, or X-Men are probably the only ones I'm going to do. But I just really enjoy the like dragon transformation kind of thing.
She seemed to be the big beefy hitter for Generation X, though.
Oh yeah, or Excalibur.
Or Excalibur, yeah.
I mean, there's only
There's Captain Britain.
Yeah.
There's a few Captain Britons that are solid.
Yeah.
My number 6 is going to be 018A Captain America from the Captain America the Avengers set. He just really feels like Captain America. They did such a good job with this figure. Like between him and the one in the Fast Forces, I think at the end of the day, I lean toward the main set version a little more, just because of how he feels. I love this figure so much. The 12 attack, I always feel like Cap is just such a good hitter. Like, sure, he's not going to hit you very hard. Like, he's still just a regular person at like top like value or whatever, but he's still great. The Living Legend trait was such a cool addition to the Captain America set. We haven't had any other Captain Americas made this year, and I don't know when we'll be able to get another one, with a Fantastic Four set and X-Men sets coming up soon, so we really don't know when the next Cap is going to come out. But I hope they keep the Living Legend trait going, because it's like just so good. His leadership is awesome. The way it helps with the new Assembled Avengers trait, showing how like good of a leader he is. Captain America ignoring characters always made like sense for me. He's very like mobile. He does gymnastics and stuff like that. Like, he's not mobile like Spider-Man, right? But he's still Captain America. The triple bolts is a very simple way to show his shield bouncing off people. But this Captain America is just really strong, and I really enjoyed like how strong for like 85 points they could make a Captain America. He's a very simple running shot to charge close combat expert Steve Rogers, and that's what I really like about the 018A Cap.
Yeah, for sure. My number 5 is the same as your number, 7?
Yeah.
So I've got the Josiah X Prime as well. With as much penetrating damage like that's being done as free nowadays.
So much, man.
I just really enjoy this dude. The Empower on his dial doesn't get used a whole lot, because you kind of have to keep him safe, so they don't just take him out, or not even take him out, just take him off those clicks. But even if it like comes down to the wire, he's got like stacked damage and attack values pretty much his whole battle. It's like, I mean, they're kind of average, but for 50 points, it's a little above average, I think, with 11s for 3s, and an 11-3 with precision and close combat expert, so he can be at 12 for 4, or 11 for 5, or whatever he has to be on his last, or second to last click. But yeah, I really dig this Josiah X as well. It's not like the craziest cool sculpt, but it's probably one of the best common primes we got this year.
Right. Besides the obvious like Batman pick. Yeah. No, I don't think you can go above Batman. But yeah,
I'm more likely to play this one
for sure. My number 5 is another Spider-Man Venom episode comic change. It's going to be Gwen of Arc. I really just enjoyed the creativity they were able to pull off with these chases. Gwen of Arc is cool, so it's like the only time we'd ever probably get a Joan of Arc in the game, and I'm not a Spider-Gwen fan at all. I would honestly say I kind of hate the character, to be real with you guys. Sorry, all you Spider-Gwen fans out there. But like, her as Saint Joan of Arc is so cool to me. She makes armor a named keyword. I've made probably more generic teams than I normally make named theme teams, so I'm cool with armor being a named keyword. I've never made an armor team before. I kind of just also enjoy knights. So like the Spider Knight we got in the Superior Foes of Spider-Man set.
Oh, yeah.
The Knights Templar from Elseworlds with Oliver Queen. The Iron Paladin. So I've always liked knights a lot, just like as forms of media, King Arthur's Round Table, Arthurian Legends, stuff like that. So anything that has like more knight related stuff is really cool. And then the amount of flavor they could put in the text, like the whole martyred by Bishop Osborne, like really gives you like a feel for like the world that she would be in. And I've always enjoyed the historical stuff Marvel does, like 1602 and like There's a 1816,
04?
1804, something like that for the Wild West style
like that,
stuff.
yeah.
So
1854, I don't know.
something weird, yeah. But I always enjoyed any historical, like, and then throwing our favorite characters. Well, for me, it's not Gwen of Arc. Gwen sucks. I hate Gwen Stacy. Anyways, but like throwing characters that are cool, that are comic book characters back in time is really cool. So it gives you a feel for the world, and I love the creativeness that WizKids was able to do with the all the Spider-Man chases, and I hope they do that with more chases and just more figures in general going forward. Honestly, please don't make them chases. I didn't want to buy any of the Spider-Man set, and you guys made me buy like 2 cases because I just wanted to get trade fodder and chases to get like chases, okay? So please don't make them chases again so I don't have to buy this terrible set. But Gwen of Arc was awesome, and I just loved it.
Sure. My number 4 is going to be the Super Captain Marvel from the Captain America and the Avengers set. She's got the 150 and 90 point lines, but finally, like, we have a Carol Danvers that can be played at like the 90 point line. So like my other favorite,
That's good.
yeah, Captain Marvel would be the binary chase from the movie feed, but I finally have one that doesn't cost like a huge chunk of my build for 90 points, but it also still feels
95 before someone like writes in and gets
95,
mad at
yeah.
you. Sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't want
that's
to correct you, but
good. Yeah, so like for 95, you still have 2 stop clicks, you still have an 11 for 3 top dial, you still have the ability to deal the ping damage, you can still drop Chewie, you can do all kinds of stuff, and you've got like, it really feels like an actual Captain Marvel, like, should.
Yeah.
Whereas like the ones from like Secret Wars Battle World, and I don't know, we've just gotten a lot of bad ones.
yeah.
The like 45 point one from ABPI, like they just always feel like underwhelming, and finally this one feels like just about right, maybe a little like too good for 95, but honestly I think she's fine. I don't know, pretty stellar piece, and the sculpt's not crazy bad. I don't like the sculpt that much. The weird chunky blast that she's doing is my one problem.
That's like her logo and then shooting it out. It's not great. My pick for number 4 is going to be Miles West. I know, another Spider-Man chase, but it's so cool. Like, it's based on like Wild Wild West, like as a movie. So Miles West is such a hilarious like name pun. For all those in Britain, it's kilometers west.
Kilometers east.
Oh, right, kilometers east, yeah. But no, it's really cool. You can get all the exaggerated swagger from this Miles West figure. It's really cool. I mean, fastest webs in the West, no guns in my town. He makes police a named keyword, which is really cool. It's like a sheriff-style figure. Sheriff Steve Rogers can then be put on a team. Same thing with the Diana Prince from Elseworlds. So there's quite a good amount of like cowboy-related Heroclix figures that also have the police keyword, which is nice. I think maybe that John Jones might have police as well. I can't remember.
I think so, yeah. It's like
I don't think Speedy did, but if they all do, then yeah, it's perfect. But if not, it's whatever. But like Shame and a few other cowboys, like Iron Slayer, like don't have... he sort of had a hat anyways. Don't have a police keyword, which is a bit of a bummer. I've never honestly played a police team, like ever, or Gotham City Police. I don't think I've ever built a police team. But with Spider-Man and Miles West, I could see myself, starting to build some cool police theme teams. He does a lot of cool, fun stuff. Shape change super senses, double rollouts is always fun, and he's got that great Max Payne sculpt where he's doing the jump, double shooty with the pistols. Yeah, and I got to make a really fun intro as Miles West for the Spider-Man unboxing. So if you haven't seen that, check it out on YouTube. The Spider-Man Venom Absolute Carnage unboxing. But yeah.
I have a secret behind-the-scenes video of that as well.
Oh, no. I was hoping everybody would have forgot about that.
So my number 3 is, surprisingly, Nuke Clone, number 012 from the Captain America and the Avengers set. I think it's the only generic I have on my list. I'm pretty sure it's the only generic I have on my list. It is my favorite generic of this year. Even more so than like the Sinister clones that are coming out soon. So he's got the Burnout Virus and the Power Elite trait for 20 points. It's a lot of stuff for 20 points. He also has average combat values, so like 10 for 3 top dial, and then he goes on to Ranged Combat Expert, his last 2 clicks, 16 toughness, his whole dial. But I really like the Power Elite trait. I really like attempting to make a Power Elite team. And that's the whole
like it a lot.
Power actions of opposing characters with an X squares are double power actions instead. and then X, of course, is equal to the number of friendly characters with the power elite keyword with a different names. So you can do this with like keyword cheating with like the new boss every day, and then hired flunkies to get like some cheap ones like that. You can also just play the power elite from the same set. But there's a lot of ways to get the power elite trait to like be pretty silly.
Yeah.
At least in casual. And then playing a bunch of these guys, it's like you can play, 15 for 300 points. And so not only do you have like solid attack values and stuff, you've got the burnout virus, and that's when Nuke Clone is KO'd by an attack or by the effects of a trait with this name. After resolutions, deal 1 penetrating damage to each character within 3 squares. At the end of your turn, for all characters with this trait, roll a d6 on a 4 through 6. Deal a friendly character with the name Nuke Clone 1 unavoidable damage. So, depending on how you have them grouped up, you can have a chain reaction that literally kills
I've done that before.
all your
It's
Nuke
really
clones in
cool.
one turn.
Yeah.
I did it with like Borg Queen, so she has Invincible top dial, and then she also has the Borg Team ability. So the penetrating damage doesn't hurt her, but when they KO, like they'll also heal her with the Borg Team ability. So you can like, just like stand in the middle and let all of your new clones explode. And
Nice.
it's never, since it's only 1 penetrating damage, it's never really worth the trade-off. You're losing a 20-point figure and only dealing potentially 1 damage to 1 figure, or maybe not even that. But it's still really cool. I really like bomb teams, Punisher Van, Thermite Shredder.
Yeah,
different
that was
stuff
awesome.
like that. So he's on the list because of that mostly.
I played a theme team of them earlier this year where it was like mostly Nuke clones, and then like the one guy who doesn't turn into a Minotaur, but turns into a Red
like
Skull.
Dario,
Lucan.
like-
No, it's
oh,
Lucan,
okay.
yeah. Alexander Lucan. That was a really fun team. My number 3 is going to go to the House of X Nightcrawler. The only other figure I need in that set. I do need Emperor Vulcan, sadly. But Nightcrawler's really cool. I've been waiting for a new Nightcrawler, obviously, for like 5 years since we got the last one, Uncanny, and both of those weren't that great. Like, you could move, and then eventually, at some point, you could go back to your little marker that you set down, which is a very unmobile, like, not that cool Nightcrawler. This one just has so many interesting ways to move and ways to help out the team. He's both supporty, and then middle of his dial, he can go attacky, which is neat. I just really enjoy this Nightcrawler. Kurt Wagner is one of my all-time, like, favorite X-Men ever. So, just getting a new one, keeping him current, is awesome. It's a shame that he has a Krakoan Revival trait, because I hate everything about Krakoan Revival. I think it's dumb. But this Nightcrawler is cool, and I like him a lot. So, good sculpts. Sadly, it's a rare
to keep
sculpt.
Playing with your Nightcrawler. It's fun.
It's fun.
To not have your figures KO'd.
It's fun to give 10 points and a really good pog to your opposing
Plus whatever
team.
the characters were.
Yeah.
You also score that. So my number 2 pick is the 013 Prime Black Leopard. So this is like the 3rd Prime I have on this list. But I got the most mileage, I think like 2nd most mileage out of my Fantastic Four theme teams when I started putting this guy on there. So he's of course got the to fight for equality and Rudyarda, the maximum attack, defense, and damage values of opposing characters within 6 squares and line of fire are each equal to Black Leopard's printed value of that type, which is awesome as long as you're not being outranged. Once they have like 7 or 8 range or something silly like that, then it's a little bit harder. You have to like be inside of doors or walls or hide somehow. But when he gets up close and personal, forcing your opponent to have 10, 10, 17, 3 or bottom dial 8, 9, 16, 2 is pretty awesome. And it's even better because like if somebody managed to attack him within like 6, at most he's going to take 3 damage because they're copying his damage. And it says maximum, so it doesn't matter if they're perplexing or anything.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah, it's just... So like this is... When Devin was playing the 300 point God Emperor Doom, this is what really like sunk his like team was his figure was God Emperor Doom for 300 points.
That's
had
awful.
A 10, 17, 3. He also has Leadership Perplex, and when he uses Perplex, he can also modify his value by +2 if opposing character within 6 and line of fire has a higher printed value. So if they have like an 18 defense, I can bump mine up by 2, which is what I normally did, and then they're swinging at me with at most a 10 into like my 19 or 20.
Ugh, that's so gross.
it's
That's so gross.
Pretty awesome. I really like this dude.
Yeah.
I have no idea who or... I mean, I know it's T'Challa, but I have no idea
Why he calls himself the Black Leopard as opposed
Yeah.
to Black Panther.
I don't know when or why that happened, but I still really like the figure.
So, just like you talking about Black Leopard, Josiah X being on both our lists, and then, of course, that Microphone Batman being good, and then, like, thinking about the Bishop and Shard. Like, Common Primes have been really good this year.
They've been blowing them up out
Like,
of the water, yeah.
I don't
More so than
remember...
uncommons. I mean, I think the last really solid uncommon was Vulture.
right, yeah.
And,
These Common Primes have all kicked butt this year.
Yeah.
Maybe except for Spider-Man, which whatever Venom it was, or symbiote
that's right.
person, but, like, still...
it was like... I think it was
4 out of
Prime,
5 sets is pretty good for like just great to meta Common Primes.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty sweet. My number 2 pick is Dr. Fantastic, the Earth X Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four set. One of the few figures I absolutely had to have from the set, because I love Earth X as a storyline. I want to see more Earth X get made. Dr. Fantastic had a really cool role in it. It wasn't necessarily important, but it was cool seeing that he's like the Doctor Doom and like living in the armor, so like the Doom bots don't find him out is so hilarious. But it's not so much what this figure does, and I did play this figure in like a 300 modern competitive tournament, and I had fun using him with Jason to like throw out Franklin's and his whole +10 trait with the Doom bots, where if any friendly character is targeted by Outwit, Perplex, or Prob by an opponent, you get to make a Doombot, and so it's every single time. So at one point, I had like 15 Doombots on the board. It was so cool. Like, it was awesome. Just for like that 10-point trade alone, this Dr. Fantastic is so crazy fun to field. But it was not just that, but it was like everything around this figure was cool. We see, first we only see like the back of his card, right? Or we see that he can bring in Franklin Galactus.
See, like, the bystander
so yeah, we don't see the
card.
bystander. We don't see the bystander. Remember?
Oh,
we see the
trait.
front of the card, and we're like, oh, what does Franklin Galactus do? Is this going to be broken for Jason? And then we see the token set, and we're like, this is absolutely broken for Jason.
Yeah.
You know? And then we're like, but
We're
now
like,
we
he's
need
gonna
to
be
know
over
more.
150. He's gonna be
Yeah, he's got to be
151.
more points. And then we see he's only 100 points. And we're like, what the heck? And then we see the terrible, terrible live unboxing video with the grainy quality from WizKids. And that day was the day of Patreon supporter Lucas Van Holland's wedding. And so we're sitting in the pews of the church, and I've got my phone out. The wedding isn't happening, by the way, yet. It's just like we're waiting for it to like start, and it's like an hour before or whatever. So we're all just sitting in the like the main annex of the church, right? And I'm looking at my phone, and I'm like trying to get a good screenshot, and like Kevin's like looking over like, no, pause right here, let it play for a little bit, I'll pause, screenshot, you know, we're trying to get a good picture of like the back of the card, because we're like, the Pog has a trait, what's the trait do, you know? And like we were all huddled around it, and like we're telling Lucas, dude, he's only 100 points, and he's like, oh my gosh, he can be played with like whatever. And like everybody else in the wedding that's not like a Heroclix player is like, are you guys serious? Is this important? And Lucas, the groom, is like, yes, you have no idea how important this is. And it was such just a great experience. We're all like sitting there in suits and stuff, and we're just so worried about whether or not Dr. Fantastic is going to be broken with Jason or not. Yeah, it was just such a fun, like, memorable time. Like, I don't know how I couldn't put this figure on my top 10. That, and he's just fun. He's fun to play. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's a really solid figure. And
So,
you
yeah.
can still play him with Jason. It just requires a little bit extra
Yeah, you
work.
just got to put him on the team and stuff. But sure, it's
But, yeah,
still awesome.
Pretty, I don't know.
Number
my
one.
Number one. So my number one is for a couple reasons. It's a figure that I don't think we've ever gotten a good version of. Like an actual good figure version. We've gotten some bystanders, we've gotten some different stuff like that. He was part of the Fantastic Four's big return, so that was like, you know, important to me. Was like, not only did we finally get Fantastic Four, but we also finally got a good version of this character. And this is the unique, rare Franklin Richards for 65 points. So he does so much that, like, anytime someone's like, I'm building with Fantastic Four, like, blah, 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 what would you suggest? And I'm like, well, if you don't have this, like, room for this 65-point this 65-point Franklin Richards, you need to start rebuilding your Fantastic Four team, because there's no reason that your Fantastic Four team shouldn't have this figure. His dial is pretty stellar as far as like values go. It's 11 clicks long for 65 points. He has the Fantastic Four team ability, so he can heal. Friendly characters with the Fantastic Four keyword within 4 have Power Cosmic team ability, including himself, which is just awesome. Then he's also got the ability, so he can't be equipped, can't be healed by regeneration or the Fantastic Four, or only by the regeneration or the Fantastic Four team ability. So no steal energy or whatever. The first time that Franklin Richards would be KO'd by his own unavoidable damage, instead you turn him to click 11, which is pretty sweet. And then, of course, his attack power, his entire dial, except for his very last click, is free. Choose 3 standard powers. Franklin Richards can use the chosen powers until your next turn. At the end of your turn, if Franklin Richards activated the power or made an attack, you roll a d6 and deal him half that damage as unavoidable. So, I think he's balanced. I think he might be a little, not balanced. I think he might be a little too good occasionally when I'm playing him. But I do think that he's balanced, especially if you look like his down dial, if you take into account that his rolls can be bad. But I really love using him as a support piece, picking sidestep, charge, precision strike, or charge, precision strike, battle fury to get around a lot of the symbiote stuff we've got going on. Or just running shot pulse wave is always awesome. Right. 11 for 4 with a 3 range. So yeah, there's just no end to his choices, but also you have to be kind of conservative occasionally when you're using him. You don't want to burn him out too fast. But yeah, that's my number 1 pick.
He's insane.
I'll be using him for a long time.
He's really good.
Even just non-theme for 65 points. A character that's 65 points, has Power Cosmic, 11 clicks long, and the ability to choose 3 powers is just nuts. The one thing that I don't like about him, that I wish was different, is you can't choose a standard speed symbol or something. It'd be cool if you could give him flight, because he can fly. So I mean, I don't know. That's
it is weird that he can't. Yeah.
But again, that helps balance him out a little bit. You can't running shot pulse wave over outdoor elevated or whatever. You have to walk up the stairs to do it.
And then my number 1 pick is going to be Captain America set 018B, the Captain. I have been waiting for a normal version of the Captain that doesn't have Thor's hammer forever, because he only picks up Thor's hammer for a couple pages in one issue, which is big. I have that Thor issue. I think it's awesome. I think it's really cool. Obviously, it's one of the most standout parts about this iteration of Captain America. But more so than that is I have a ton of issues of Captain America where it's just him, D-Man, and Falcon, and just him as the Captain. So this version of Cap has an adamantium shield, which is really cool, and they even make reference to that on the card, which I really appreciate. He has the same Living Legend trait, and he has a really neat trait, which is the whole, he can lose the soldier keyword, and then he gets a Marvel team ability of your choice, or he just straight up can have his combat values not modified by opponents this turn, and can't have his attack rules rerolled. So he always has an 11 throughout his entire dial, which is cool. And then he does get Close Combat Expert midway through. And then he can kind of become a healer, which is interesting. The 15 defend and 2 damage support, kind of about healing the country, or I can't remember what it's called on the card, but I've been really asking for this version of the Captain for a really long time, and we finally got it this year, so I was super excited. He's a solid 45 points. I would have preferred them making him a little beefier somehow, and then making him shifting focus Captain America, because this would have been perfect for the shifting focus trait to go with the other 3 Captain Americas we had. But him at 45 is still really cool. And so that is the top 10 figures of 2020 on a scale of 1 to 10, because I think this is the only thread we can ever use a scale of 1 to 10 for. What do you think about tabulating all the figures in the set? This is a lot of work for this guy.
Yeah,
I feel bad for him. This is a lot of work.
Do. I'm gonna give it a nuke clone. My number 3.
Give it a nuke clone
because it's not quite so. I'm saying number 1 being Franklin Richards being the best. The amount of work that he's gonna put into it, and it's just a really enjoyable thread. It's no arguing about different stuff really.
Yeah.
It's just people having their own opinions about whatever figures they maybe they only like the figure because of the sculpt or whatever. It's fun to read through some of them and kind of laugh at like some of the weird choices
Yeah,
and whatever.
some bad picks.
But yeah, again,
Opinion picks.
if you want to enter your picks, it is called the Top 10 Favorite Heroclix of 2020!
It's kind of a bad name for a thread. It doesn't make me feel like I need to voice my opinion and go vote or whatever.
Right.
It's just sort of like, it feels like it's just his top 10. But that's not what the thread is. It's such a bad title. Yeah, I will give him negative points for the bad title.
I am really excited to see.
But I'm curious to see who gets it too.
What gets like the majority of votes? Because I mean,
looking like there was a lot of Spot.
I think Spot might be like
there's one. He himself said Spot. I don't know if he's counting his own votes. Might as well, right? You can vote for yourself.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, like what is it? This guy just picked a bunch of commons. What a weirdo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff, and we're still only like 5 pages in, so there's a lot of votes left to be tabulated and cast, I guess.
Does he have a deadline? Like when you can't vote anymore?
Yeah, I believe the thread closes. Let's see. I'm guessing that he probably ends it at like December 31st or something.
That would make sense. But you never know if he wants to like try to get more time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we could still vote for, like, I could still vote on like my favorite 2019 like figure. I can still look those up.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, you can just go see.
I don't know how he's gonna do that.
Just make it super annoying for him. Like get a notification from a dead thread and be like, "Oh, dude, why?
Right?
What are you doing this for me?" All right, so moving on in the show, we're gonna go ahead and jump into the community section.
There are dozens of us. Dozens!
Maps sure are cool, aren't they, Simeon? How neat are maps?
Oh man, I do like a good map. It'd be hard to really play this game without one, I guess.
Yep, it would be certainly difficult.
That is the thing I can say.
I guess chessboards would work as well, but you know,
sure.
Terrain is really important. So, the Community Tuesday question is: should maps be symmetrical? Why or why not? What are your thoughts on this, Simeon?
So I'm okay with an occasional symmetrical map. Yeah, that's about it. Like, I think it should be the exception to the rule and not the rule itself, because I think symmetrical maps, like, on the surface, one, it's just bad for the second player. They're already losing like the initiative. They're already losing the like battlefield advantage of like, you know, being on like a home ground kind of thing. And now they like also on a symmetrical map, it doesn't matter. Like, there's no point in picking one side or the other. So yeah, I think that it's like it should be an exception to the rule where occasionally we get symmetrical maps. But
yeah,
it seems really silly and like just kind of like lazy, honestly. Like symmetrical maps, like most places you go in the world aren't symmetrical, so it's kind of weird.
Way.
Maps of like, you know, what we're imagining to be like a street or whatever is all of a sudden like perfectly symmetrical. Like, oh, they just happen to park cars
the
like,
same
in this
on
square,
each side,
and that
yeah.
square, like adjacent or across from each other or whatever. But yeah, it's, I don't know, it's just kind of like a boring looking thing if it's symmetrical and you can't really make any interesting choice for which side you go to.
Yeah. I've never really thought about map choices and stuff that much until I got into playing like more competitive Heroclix, but because before that, when you lost map, you're like, I guess I go second. I've never had like anyone when I would just like go to a venue every once in a while. I never felt like I got absolutely destroyed just because of like map choice, you know? But like nowadays, going to Hedge Maze, King's Tomb, you know, maps like that can just ruin your day. Weird how those are both
ROC maps.
I didn't say it. You said that.
Yeah.
Howard, you heard him.
It's
he
weird,
said it, not
weird
me.
How people say, like, WizKids maps can be just as like bad, but then you see all these build lists.
So,
and
yeah,
the majority are
like,
ROC maps. Not saying that's a good or bad thing.
I think
Casually, I still don't want to play on a symmetrical map. I think it's just boring. It's cool if like the map has like Avengers Mansion is like a cool map.
Yes, it is.
One person starts in like, I don't know, the driveway, I guess,
or whatever it is. Yeah.
And they have to like either jump into like the bushes to try and hide or whatever.
Right, and that's like I chose to be on this map, which means you get to be inside the mansion. You got to be safer, or like whatever, right? Like, yeah, I really do like that map a lot. It's really
also
cool.
A cool like thematic thing, like, you know, these people are trying to break into the Avengers Mansion and you have to battle them.
Yeah, it is sweet.
Or whatever. When in like it's a symmetrical map, it usually also like inherently kind of like loses whatever like interesting like kind of flow it could have.
Yeah.
Like, hallways that are like twisty and turny or something. I don't know if Hedge Maze is perfectly symmetrical.
It's not. I
it's
just brought that up
still-
to like oppress like really good maps, right?
Yeah.
And
It's
I never
close
just thought
enough
about
to
it.
being symmetrical.
It is. There's very small differences in it.
And it's one of those maps where even if you win, like, or even if you get to pick side, it's not going to help you.
It's like, yeah,
unless you were
so
prepared for that
what
map.
about it? It's like, okay, great.
Unless you're like rocking Juggernaut or something.
Sure.
You're probably going to like end up getting
not wanna play that
swamped
map.
anyhow.
Or like Boxing Ring, try to delete as much blocking terrain as possible. But yeah, symmetrical maps, to me, overall, they're not fun to look at. I guess there's part of you that might be like OCD and it makes it like nice to look at. I don't think so at all. I think a map should have a little bit more character. When it's the same on each side, it's very boring. When I think about like a Stark Tower map or something that's just like really pretty, right? Like Stark Tower makes the face. It's also an indoor map that has blocking and walls and elevated, but it's not absolutely awful to play on and look at and make me want to shoot myself in the head.
It is one of like the probably best like map bonuses. As
Yeah,
well.
and a
So
really
it's
good
like,
map bonus.
It's not only like a
It's probably the
that you can
first
build
map
to win
bonus
on,
where I'm
but
like,
also-
I kind of don't want to win map half the
Yeah.
time with it, because like getting the free pog is almost better than power action to potentially make one of them, right? Like, so it's a cool map bonus. It's a fine looking map, and then I think all the Earth X maps are fine. Even like the train yard, I think is symmetrical, and it's rough, but it's not. So it's symmetrical, right? And that's fine, but because it's not crippling. It's not overtly crippling. Like the train yard, I'm like, oh man, my goose is cooked. I'm on the train yard. What team can I possibly like? No, it's open. It's not bad at all. Same thing. Like if Wakanda was perfectly symmetrical, which it isn't, let them in map. That's a rock map. It's not symmetrical.
Yeah, I
It
really
sort of
like
is, not
Let Them
really.
In. It's also, I mean, they've stopped doing the movies for obvious
They
reasons.
need. Yeah,
now,
I wish they would though. They're
but,
so good.
The movie maps were pretty sweet.
Those are all
none
cool.
of those were symmetrical that I remember.
No.
The Titan planet
like,
or whatever, half world or whatever.
This map, the one we're talking about, the one that kind of sparked this discussion, the what is this called? Server board room,
let me see if
Geek Lab, Wire Maze.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
some sort of.
Anyways,
server room.
yeah, it's symmetrical, but it's oppressively symmetrical. Where if your team is not perfectly built to be on this map, you're gonna have just the crappiest time playing ever. Versus like Train Yard, where pretty much any team can do pretty well. I'm pretty sure that map's symmetrical. It might not be, but like it's pretty symmetrical, and like it doesn't really cause that much pain for like anyone. Same thing with like a Mok Time. Like it's good, it's big and open, and like maybe your team is really good for an open team, maybe your team's like it's just terrible for an open team. But I feel like a closed in map is worse as opposed to a more open map when it's symmetrical. To me anyways. Especially when it's like closed in with walls. Elevated is what makes it really bad,
Yeah, the
right?
elevated changes
Like,
on this one are what like I really hate.
Ancient Hold is tough.
Yeah.
It's not crazy impossible, but it's tough and it shuts down a lot of stuff. This thing is not just line of fire killer, it's like a movement killer. It's awful. This map is so incredibly difficult.
At least there's no doors though.
Jeez, imagine if there were like
map bans.
doors on the stairs. At the top of each
Right,
stairs there were
yeah.
also doors. That would suck so
Even
much.
worse somehow.
Yeah. Hey, look, we just came up with an idea to make a map even like more oppressive.
Even
So let's see
worse,
what people have to say about maps being symmetrical. I can bring up the ones on Twitter here if you want to grab the ones on Facebook.
All right, first on Facebook, we're going to go with James Craddock, who says, maps should never be symmetrical. Every map should provide a choice for player 2 to slightly balance the losing of the map choice. Many maps can provide too much of an advantage to one side, and in a game that talks about having a competitive element, I think it is a terrible idea to allow a map designer to have such a high level of influence in the playing of the game. I agree. So it continues, but I'll just say I agree with that first point because, like when maps are designed to like the point where they're like super oppressive, if you build specific teams, then like the whole goal of the game is going to be win map, like play, like a +10 theme and go to that map, which is what I'm going to try and do with the Jubilee so I can turn her into crazy monster lady, but that's besides the point. He continues and says, Player 1 should get to narrow the choice of terrain to one type, outdoors, indoors, no hindering, lots of hindering, etc. And Player 2 should then get to decide if they want to take the side that offers him or her an advantage, or take away the side that would help Player 1. If a game starts like that, then the map has less of an effect on the outcome than if one player gets to choose the overall terrain and choose which side the opponent must start on. There is no balance at all in that. So yeah, I agree with the whole thing. Essentially, if you already have an idea of what map you want to be on, like I've got an anti-Juggernaut map, like Galador Promenade was like an anti-Juggernaut map. I've got like an indoor map for people that outrange me, and then I've got like an open map for like people I outrange or whatever. Like that's fine, because then if you win map, you can like, kind of like play to your team's strengths. The problem is like even on like Galador Promenade or whatever, Juggernaut would lose like the blocking, but he would also just be able to like move and like quake and get all over the place because like that whole map was like open for him.
Yeah.
And like similar, like, other maps where it's like wide open, like Metal Arena is like a good map because it's got like multiple elevations, but there's really like no benefit to like one player. Like if I win that map and put my opponent on it, they can like make some pretty smart choices and like stay in like certain areas. Like if I outrange them, they can keep moving elevations, different stuff like that. And that one's not fully symmetrical, but it kind of is. So I guess
yeah. First on Twitter is Little Plastic Superheroes says, it changes the dynamics to the game. The Bifrost Mighty Thor map is a perfect example of it. But in response to should a map be symmetrical, he says, that's going to be a no from me, dog. It's pretty solid. But yeah, I think there are some maps where they're just slightly different. Like not a crazy drastic change. Like the map we played last Thursday, Throwdown, where it was like there was some elevated versus it was just weird chunks of blocking the cargo ship.
Right.
You were like, yeah, that's a really like completely different terrain for each side to like start off with.
It was crazy because the one side had like this huge chunk of elevated you have to like traverse, and then the others like all these blocking like boxes,
ship containers, things. You're just like, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah. Second one on Facebook I'm going to go with is Tyler Murin, who says, not for standard 1v1, but I do think for Battle Royale style maps, it probably should be fairly symmetrical, since there is a lot more time in between turns. I feel like the last thing you want to have is any players isolated due to the map's asymmetrical design. I could be wrong, but in theory it makes sense. So I agree with that. In like Battle Royale, even like Skirmish, if you're going to like consider that a format, any format like where there's multiple players potentially involved, it probably helps to have a more symmetrical map. So one person isn't like in like prison tier, they're not like stuck in like some cells just like waiting to get out kind of thing, elimination chamber style.
Chris Kurtz on Twitter said, the ex-paintball player in me says, oh yeah, symmetry baby. But in Clix though, it would take away from the idea of picking a map side. A few that would be nice though. So I've never played paintball, but I played airsoft, which is much cooler. So
they're about the same.
Yeah, basically the exact same.
Like dorks wearing guns and.
Hey! But like I wear camo and not a big jersey thing.
I used to paintball and never got into airsoft.
My gun looks more real than yours and shoots tiny BBs.
I understand why you'd have a symmetrical map or symmetrical. Like,
that just makes it
area.
Easy to like guess where the opponent's going to be, right? Is the main like strategy there.
Even then, like some of my favorite paintball games I've ever played had like one like starting area, quote unquote starting area, would be closer to like shelter than the other, but it also meant that like you were on the team that wasn't close to the shelter was like rushing further up the field and potentially like getting into better positions because of that. So I don't know. I guess symmetry makes sense as like a fairness point in paintball, but again, like in paintball, it's like all terrain that people can walk on. It's not like one dude has a jetpack and like picks to play on a map that's like all weird elevations. So
How crappy would that be? Mandalorian shows up from
literally,
paintball, like, oh, I'm gonna get destroyed.
You're like, how do I have to climb this like stair and then this ladder to like get up here? And meanwhile, he's just like flying down and flying up and like shooting at you all.
This
the
is
whole
bogus. This sucks.
This is awful.
But yeah, no, this is great. Thank you guys for commenting on Facebook and Twitter. We don't have a Jedi Legend Heroclix tip of the week this week. We're recording on Saturday in the afternoon, so this is slightly before he normally gets his tip up. But welcome to a Jedi or Sith Calder's tip of the week.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
What? How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair. How can you be on the council and not be a master? Take a seat.
Young Kalder Ness. How could you? So is my tip of the week is going to be is Mastermind giving you guys trouble. The way Mastermind is worded is you can only Mastermind to characters that weren't also a hit target of the attack. So ways to get around this are maybe like Quake. So that way you're adjacent to both of them. You Quake them both. He can't Mastermind it. You're both taking 2. Or Energy Explode them because they'll become a hit target. This also gets rid of the use of Super Senses, which is really cool. It gets rid of the use of Shape Change.
Right.
And then they can still roll for Super Senses afterwards, though. So that's also a really cool way to do it with Energy
targeted.
Explosion. They become targeted once they're just being adjacent.
They still get to potentially not be hit.
And then another thing is multi-target. So if you have 2 bolts on your dial, baby, you know what? You can just try to shoot them both. And that'll just sort of get around Mastermind, which is really nice.
Yeah. Mastermind is like, it's one of those powers that's kind of tough to deal with occasionally.
Right.
Especially if it's like in a special like scenario where it's like Power Cosmic or like Protected Outwit Mastermind.
That's big too. Can't just outwit it.
So body blocking or something. So yeah, you just like, well, like not only do I have to hit this higher defense, but then or if it's like Dark Side's Mastermind where it heals him one when he
that's
uses
awful.
it.
Yeah.
It's like, man, like I just never want him to be able to do that. But at the same time, if you can't get around him to hit the person he's masterminding to, then you just have 2 big problems.
Yeah, a few options. Yeah. Another thing about Mastermind, really quickly, is that I totally forget. Precision Strike. That was a power that used to counter it. Used to not be able to transfer the damage. But now Precision Strike is just way less useful, and that really hurt me after 2017 when I couldn't Precision Strike Mastermind.
Like Battle Fury, like there's nothing that gets around Mastermind other than
just
multi-target
targeting,
or Outwit. Like those are the 2 big things. And like multi-target can be, like Calder said, Quake, Energy Explosion, Pulse Wave, anything that's going to hit both the target and the person they're masterminding to. But yeah, it can be a headache, that's for sure.
So that is going to be my tip of the week, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. And hopefully Mastermind won't give you so many problems. Simeon, that's going to be the end of our show, man. It was a good show.
Yeah.
So
wrapping up a little earlier than last week. But
slightly.
We like consistency, so about that 2-hour mark every time. So I'm going to ramble for another 25 minutes. No, if you listen to our top 10 picks for 2020 and you thought, hey, that's right, I never picked up that figure, I really need to, you can go ahead and check out CoolStuffInc.com, where they probably have it in stock. They also got cases of X-Men back in for pre-order, so you can actually order cases instead of bricks or boosters. They were sold out for a little while, but they're back up. So
they're back, baby.
And using code DIAL5 actually... I think it saved me like $11, which isn't a lot, but $11 off of a case, pretty decent. And I mean, it's better to save than not save. So, yeah, if you want some cool stuff, check out CoolStuffInc.com, where they have the latest Heroclix sealed and singles, and code DIAL5 will get you a little discount on those.
Happy trails.
Myself.